Hey everyone, my name is Brian Pitchman. I am from the Evolve Project, which is a collaborative platform that aims to change the way people see libraries. This video was originally recorded for the ILEAD USA participants. This session, it's an intersession, and we're going to be talking about branding, using social media to brand yourself, your project, or your library correctly. So we're going to go through some really basic stuff. I'm going to try to keep this under a half hour because it's a recorded one. And then feel free to contact me if you have questions. So before we begin and talk about our brand, we have to determine a few things. We need to determine what our style is. What is our presentation style? What's our conversation style? How do we communicate to others? That's going to be very important in how you brand yourself. What are your values? What do you find important to you? What are your ethics essentially? What do you find important? And then what are your skills or attributes? So what do you bring to the table that might set you apart from other people? What things are you good at? What things are you passionate about? Those are the types of things you have to consider when you're also working on your brand. So in other words, these three things help determine how you stand out as a whole. So in terms of brands, you have to brand your idea. You have to give your idea or yourself a good brand, a positive brand that makes people want to use you as a resource, whether it be for job applications, getting partnerships, doing collaborative works. You have to have a pretty strong brand in order to succeed. So in other words, with those three assets, what value adds can you provide to somebody? What do you bring to the table that others may not? So to help with branding, work on a cool catchphrase, acronym, or another way to describe yourself or your project. You don't want to be too complicated. I won't say Pitchman Enterprises because Pitchman is sometimes spelled incorrectly, like P-I-T-C-H. It's P-I-C-H-M-A-N. So you want to do something that's easy to spell, that's not too complicated or confusing, but you also want to make sure that it gives your project concise and easy to say name. A lot of other people do Project X. They give it a very generic theme that in order to find out more, you have to ask. And then give people small snippets of those information. So I came up with the Evolve Project. What's this Evolve Project all about? It sounds like it's evolutionary in content, but what are we changing? What are we improving? So that's why I went with the Evolve Project as a name for my collaborative platform. I had another company called CIRC, Computer Installation Repair Company. It was an acronym. I wanted people when I was younger. I wanted to build my own business and repair people's computers and networks, and I worked really hard on coming up with a really cool acronym. So CIRC, and our slogan was pointing you in the right direction, and we made the C in CIRC a giant arrow pointing in the right direction, and so that was our slogan. Easy to say, easy to use, and people understood it. And then as with the Evolve project, we went with a logo that showed a tablet and a book morphing because we want to see more technology. We want to embed technology into literary works and library content. So what is all this social media? There's tons of different ways to communicate to other users on the internet. With Facebook, this is where people like posts and comment and share. Twitter is more about short, easy-to-use phrases. YouTube is a video service. LinkedIn is used kind of more for resumes type of idea, but I also use LinkedIn for publications. So there's lots of social media out there, and we have to determine what's best for us, what type of medium do people use and appreciate, and that's the social media you want to use the most. So for me, from my business perspective, LinkedIn is very important. A lot of business professionals use LinkedIn. I also use Twitter because a lot of the librarians I work with that I try to collaborate with are on Twitter because they're always out there sharing ideas and trying to collaborate with others. So Twitter is a great medium for me. As a whole, between all those groups, social media is about networking. You want to meet new people that you don't ordinarily meet. We want to get outside of it's called circle of influence, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we want to find people that we're not directly associated with, people that aren't directly connected to us in some way or another, and meet new people. Social media is also about sharing of ideas and concerns. So for instance, a few weeks ago, it was discovered that Adobe was transmitting data through clear text about what people were reading on their e-content. People shared that on Twitter and Facebook. I probably wouldn't have heard about the article if my network wasn't sharing it, voicing concerns, and collaborating and talking about what could be done. And social media is also about running a successful business or startup. If you were trying to launch a new idea or a product or a project off the ground, you have to have a really good handle on social media for two reasons. You have to find people that will support you and say, oh my God, look at what so-and-so is doing. But you also want to make sure that you can provide support through social media. People will reach out on social media for questions, comments, or concerns. You want to make sure you have a good presence and you monitor that very well so you can protect your brand. So earlier I mentioned circle of influence. What is this? Essentially, our circle of influence is the people we're directly connected to. So friends, colleagues, people you work with, they're in your circle of influence. People that they will give you recommendations for things and you're going to listen. And the reverse happens. You're going to say, hey, you should try out this restaurant. That's your circle of influence. Those are the people that are influenced by your decisions. Chances are, people outside them, we don't really know. We don't know everyone. So you want to be able to meet the people that they're associated with. So I want to find my friends' friends. And I want to work with those people and expand my network reach, expand my brand. This is all, I want to find people that don't know who I am. And that's the best way to market myself. I need to introduce new people to what I do and what I'm capable of. And social media is a great way to make that possible. So they say from a circle of influence standpoint, you as an individual are obviously centered, and then you're closely tied to your organizations. So people you work with, communities you're associated with, volunteer organizations you work with. But outside of that, those people are connected to a local community. So there's a broader group of people that you don't know. You probably don't know everyone in your local community. But if you were to know everyone in your local community, you'd be able to contact more globally and extend out of that circle. We also need to identify two different types of people while talking about our brand on social media. We have users and consumers. Users are the people who will use your end product or use your services or use you. Those are our users. Consumers, on the other hand, are the people who actually buy your product. So sometimes they could be the same, but oftentimes they could be different. So for instance, a database. Who are we as a library? Are we a user of the database or a consumer? Or are patrons more users or consumers? A library essentially is the consumer of online databases, and our patrons are the users of online databases. So when we talk about our brand and we build our brand on social media, we need to be able to identify those two groups because each of those groups need different types of support. Social media is extremely hard work. It's not something that you can just make a Facebook account, make a Twitter account, sit back and enjoy yourself. You have to constantly be active on your social media, always engaging in conversations. People that use social media from a user perspective expect a quick response. They want answers right away, and they use social media hoping to get those answers right away because the world essentially is watching. It's a lot different than if I call you for help, because if you don't answer, you don't provide support, no one else knows. But if I post on social media that I need assistance and I need help, the whole world is aware of that I'm trying to reach you. You need to do a lot of tracking, monitoring, and always revise your social media strategy. It's an always evolving process. You have specific users using it at a specific time of day. In general, people use Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at very specific times, and there's tools out there that let you monitor that. and find out when your users and your consumers are most active. So why do you even care about branding yourself on social media? For two reasons. For a few. You'll need advisors and supporters. Advisors are the ones that give you input, like, hey, you're doing a great job. Consider doing it this way. Or, hey, have you considered this? A supporter, on the other hand, will share what you say with others. So a supporter will go, oh, hey, everyone, check out what Brian's doing. I think it's really awesome. Those are supporters. When you see supporters and advisors, you always want to thank them on social media for their help, because they will remember that. And if you need help again in the future, you have a good team to turn to. You also want to make sure your brand is linked to a website of some kind, so people can always circle back and learn more about you by driving traffic to your website. And you have to start building this responsive following of users whenever you market yourself, your ideas, or your product. So the sooner the better. You should start building your social media up. You should start building your Twitter following. You should start building your Facebook group. Don't get followers that aren't going to converse with you. Get followers that will converse with you. Don't get ones that just follow to follow. You want people to have engaging conversations, and you want everyone to see those engaging conversations. Because when you put something on the market, those people will help you the most. We're all familiar with the Pew Research Center, and they did a survey about social media, actually, and what percent of users use social media. I'm not going to go through the details, but identify what groups you're trying to reach, and chances are social media will be a good avenue for you. Let me see. And as you can tell, that the percentages are fairly high for people under 50, or even 65 for that matter, using social media. And so it's a really good avenue to express and market yourself. And then in terms of popularity, this is the percent of online adults who use social media websites by year. Most people use Facebook, according to the survey. But the survey also pointed out that LinkedIn is very popular with college graduates or people trying to further their career. In other words, people use LinkedIn to get jobs. But in order to get a job, they have to have good branding around themselves. They have to be working for good, respectable companies and things like that. They also stated that Twitter users are influencers. You only have 140 characters on Twitter, so you want to make sure that those 140 characters count. So when you are drafting your tweets, you want to be very keen on the amount of characters you get. You want to be clear and concise. And those are just some simple, easy-to-use Twitter abbreviations. I would also point out Follow Friday is when you thank your best followers on Twitter, and it's hashtag FF or Follow Friday. So here's some other tweeting tips. When you are replying to a specific user, and when you basically hit reply, you're going to get their Twitter handle, and only people on your Twitter feed will see it. If they're actually on your website or actually on your Twitter, they're only going to see that response. However, if you put a period in front of the responses, it then makes it a public tweet where then everyone can see it in their timeline. So when tweeting, you want to make sure that if it's a tweet that you want, a response that you're giving to everybody, or you want everyone to see, put a period in front. Always retweet as often as you can, but don't fill your feed with retweets. Essentially, you can share somebody else's post, and it's called a retweet. From that perspective, you want to be able to show others that you're willing to share their content, and chances are those people will then share your content as well. And then I already mentioned Follow Friday. Identify your most active followers and get other people to follow those. And then people will then recognize that, you know what, you're paying it forward, you're sharing good Twitter users. They're going to tell people to follow you as well. Again, the Follow Friday is a great way to get outside of your circle of influence. And then hashtag as often as you can, but don't be annoying about it. And a lot of people actually have like full-on sentences and hashtags. It's cute, it's funny, but you want to use hashtags to help categorize your tweets. Because then other people, so whenever I tweet out hashtag startups, I get actual new startup companies following me or tweeting me or talking to me. And it's a really neat way to kind of expand, again, your circle of influence. But don't tweet too much. Every few minutes gets annoying because on somebody else's Twitter feed, when they are looking at all their followers' tweets, they're going to just see you going at it again and again and again. So make sure that what you do tweet out is very important and it helps develop your brand. I also use Twitter and social media to make things happen. So I used to be an AT&T, or I am still an AT&T customer, and I had a faulty phone that broke, and I was paying insurance. I called them because the phone broke, and I said, hey, my phone stopped working. Could you help me out? And they said, yeah, we see you pay for insurance. To get a new phone, it's $200, but it's a refurbished phone. And I said, well, I brought this phone brand new for like $250. That doesn't make sense. And I'm paying $10 a month for insurance. Can you help me out? I've been a loyal customer. The rep goes, sorry, can't do anything. It's $200 to replace it with an insurance claim. So I hung up and I tweeted this out. Instantly, Sprint and Verizon wanted me as a customer. And I thought that was awesome. And then AT&T called me and said, hey, we really want to make this right. What can we do? And I said, well, I don't really want to pay $200 for a refurbished phone. I don't think that's right. And the lady says, how about this? Pick any phone you want up, and we'll give you the new version. What's the most you're willing to spend? And I said, well, like $100, I guess, $50. And the representative said, how about nothing? And I said, well, that would be awesome. And so the lady was able to get me whatever phone. I picked one out. She goes, hey, you know what? There's a better model with more space. Do you want that one instead? And I was like, well, if you're twisting my arm, I guess I have to take it. But the point is that AT&T wanted to manage their brand. So did Sprint and Verizon. And they all worked really hard to gain my loyalty, gain my support. And so that's what you have to be aware of when people use Twitter and other social media. People use it to get things done. And then recently, Chase tweeted out they paid for a promoted tweet. And I thought it'd be amusing if I replied to a promoted tweet, because then my reply is technically promoted as well. What was awesome was they replied, and they actually wanted me to email them so we can work on ways to engage libraries in their mission to help grow the Chicago youth in terms of like education and what they can do. Earlier I mentioned that there are tools out there that find out when your users on your social media is the most active. Those are the times you want to promote your brand the hardest. So there's a website called FollowerWonk that will analyze your tweets or your Twitter users and how active those users are. So I know that my users are most active at noon and what is that? At 8 o'clock at night. So these are the times I should have the hardest push for advertising and branding myself. Noon, obviously lunch break, people veg out, check things out on the internet, check the news feed, and then 8 o'clock is when we start winding down at home. We get home, we met our family, we ate dinner, and now things are starting to wind down, so we'll pull up our phone, check the tweets, or tweet the thing out. These are the times when we want to make sure, from our perspective, to advertise to help promote our brand. Another group does a totally spaced out on the name. You're able to monitor if people tweet to your website, tweet about your website, tweet about brands, and you're able to search for it. So I actually have it set up so when people tweet about anything on my blog and shares it across their network, I'm aware of it. And so, what is that called? Bear with me. It'll come back. But essentially, this is a really great tool to find out how active people are and what they're doing with your blog or your website, or if they're even mentioning your company's name. You can put all these really cool searches in, and whenever somebody tweets it out, this program will reply back and say, "Hey, good news! Somebody tweeted about you," and you're able to, without having to do any crazy searches. It's called Commune IT. That was it. So Commune, COMMUN period IT. And there's Commune. There's actually commune.it, not ignore the first IT there. But you should always schedule your post. Um, Schedule posts so you don't have to be constantly on Twitter or on Facebook. By scheduling it, using like follower wonk, you're able to figure out the best time to tweet and to advertise your brand. Hootsuite's another great program to use to help schedule, but commune.it is another one that lets you schedule your tweets. It's called tweet buffering. There's also scheduling posts. Clout.com will allow you to schedule posts on Twitter and LinkedIn. This is a great way to share information across your network. So basically you're sharing other articles. And Clout's really awesome because it can figure out what articles your users will be most interested in, what your users are viewing, what your users would really like to see, and what articles that are becoming more and more popular on Twitter. In terms of followers and unfollowers, you want to follow users that share interests and are engaging on Twitter. JustUnfollow.com will help monitor your followers, and if they unfollow you, you can maybe figure out why they unfollowed you if you had a tweet that they found offensive or something. Those are some other great tools you use to kind of manage your groups. With Facebook, so if Twitter is based off of influencers, Facebook users are very engaging. So when you're developing a company or personal page and you're paying for advertising, focus on getting more likes. You want people to like your page so when you post new things or post new engagements, those people that like your page can then follow up and find out what else you're talking about as you build your brand. In terms of Facebook tips, you want to be as part of as many groups as you can that match your target market interest, or groups that will let you collaborate the way you want to collaborate. Be active in those groups as well. Communicate, like, and share other posts that you see. And also have some humor. People like jokes and will share things on Facebook that they find amusing. So funny pictures, cat jokes, what I like to, is my go-to. And so share those on your social media. In terms of LinkedIn, it's really great to write articles on LinkedIn, and then you can share them and see how they track. LinkedIn has a really great tool that shows your circle of influence. The inner circle is the people that are already connected to you on LinkedIn. The outer circle are those connected followers, and the third circle are the followers in between. So someone to like my post from that 54 views, it would extend to the second circle, people that I'm not directly connected to. If one of those people liked the post, it would then extend to the third circle. So to test the theory, I used a picture instead that I found on LinkedIn, and it said, "Believe in yourself. If you don't, who will?" with a little kid with a rocket strapped to his back. It got 1,100 views, whereas the other one with just words only got 54. And the reason for that was people wanted to share it. So one person liked it, the green button, and another one commented. It extended to the second group. That second group that I'm not connected to also liked and commented it. and it extended to the third group where a third person liked it. So you want to constantly push out content that will reach that third circle, the farthest away from your circle of influence. So some other LinkedIn tips. You want to like and share people's posts that help your brand out, show that you're an expert in your field, or your project is a solution that people need. And be part of groups on LinkedIn and be an active member. So if you're doing a project that requires lots of coding, join those development groups and see if you can get others to help you. And they're surprisingly super helpful. So if you're like, hey, I'm really stuck, here's a snippet of my code, it keeps on giving me an error, what do you suggest doing? And those people will actually reply relatively quickly. Also, give recommendations to other people. Recommendations are almost like what you would for a job application where somebody writes a paragraph of what you do. An endorsement is when somebody says, oh yes, they have this skill, and they basically check a box that has all your skills listed. And you also want to make sure that you have your personal profile, and if you have a company profile, you want it completely filled out, accurate, and always update it. I found out that whenever I changed my photo on LinkedIn, the amount of people that viewed my LinkedIn skyrocketed. So you always want to deliver new content and updates to your LinkedIn page. So some general strategies. I use Twitter to push out updates to Facebook, and here's a link on how to do that. LinkedIn, however, does not let Twitter push to LinkedIn. It doesn't want people to have 140 character status posts on LinkedIn. It would definitely distract from the articles that LinkedIn users push. However, use LinkedIn. You can use LinkedIn to share articles and then push out that shared article to Twitter. If you write blog posts, Twitter feed will help you push those blog posts onto LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And then it would also track how many people reshare it, which is really nice. So kind of to go back to our brand, we want to focus on building our image. Using social media allows us to build our image, and we can brand harder and stronger. It's better to start doing this now than later. So even if you're not ready to launch your product, still create a Twitter presence. Let people know that what you're working on. Give them small snippets of information and start trying to get feedback for your idea and help using social media to further your idea and grow it. It's also good for search engine optimization because you want things to link back and forth between each other. So on your Twitter page, have it link back to your website. On your Facebook page, have it link back to your website. So you're driving content to your website, making your website rank higher when people search for it on Google. And then if you're trying to get funding, people will not want to help fund your idea if you don't have an online presence because you don't have a brand. People don't know you directly, they're going to look at the internet and see if you have that online presence and you have a strong brand. So that's also very, very important. There's also tools to help control your image. Brandyourself.com is a great tool where you basically would tell this website, what do you want to rank highest on Google? And then it would give you tips and tricks to push certain links, certain websites, or certain social media pages higher on Google. So now when you search for my name, I work really hard on controlling what results show up first. And here's some fun social media wins. So I forget his name, but there's a guy that was flying British Airways, and he had with his father, and there was a really bad incident with luggage being lost. And so he paid for a tweet telling people not to fly British Airways, which is really different and unique, where most of the time people pay for a promoted tweet to promote themselves. What British Airways did when they saw that this tweet was appearing when anyone searched for British Airways was they contacted him and they solved the problem, and they gave him like a few $1,000s worth of free plane tickets. You also want to be careful about what you ask people to do on social media. So the New York Police Department tried pushing a campaign on social media, trying to promote and say, hey, how great the New York Police Department is. So they were saying, hey, take a photo with your favorite group and post it online. Instead, what happened was people were posting their police brutality type photos. on their hashtag and totally ruin their marketing campaign. Papa John's also tweeted on Facebook, asked people, hey, we know our pizza is tasty and addictive. What are you addicted to? And comment below on things you couldn't live without. So really the idea is trying to engage their audience, but they didn't fully think it through. For instance, somebody said distilled cat tears is what they're addicted to. And then Tesco was accused of using horse meat in their products. And so they scheduled a whole bunch of tweets. So the day they were accused of it, one of their scheduled tweets were, it's sleepy time, so we're off to hit the hay. Unrelated, but it was really bad timing. So for when you schedule tweets, you always want to double check what you have scheduled. So how do you manage social media? You want to provide timely updates. You want to always update people with what's going on. People are looking for what's going on with your brand. You want to share stories. So share stuff that you're working on, share stuff that other people are working on that help build your brand or help build what you try to promote. You want to contribute to as many conversations as you can. And you also want to handle comments, complaints, and questions always in a positive manner. When you're putting together your social media brand and your strategy, you want a solid following of those users before launching your new brand. Let your followers know about the brand, what you do, and what you're going to be doing, and get them excited for a launch date. So, hey, we're going to be launching a new website that will highlight some of our new features or new content in our library, and get those people ready and excited, and encourage them to retweet. So ask, hey, can you please share this? Or please retweet. This will help get more engaged users and also extend out of your circle of influence. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to post these slide shares, the slide deck on SlideShare. I'm going to also put the link at the bottom of the video. If you need me, you can feel free to contact me myself through Twitter or by email. And hopefully this was helpful. And if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out. Thank you.